can just take a pause if needed. So due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the governor of Iowa's public health disaster emergency declaration, which included limits on public gatherings, holding an in-person meeting tonight is impractical, and thus this meeting is being held by electronic means. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial board created by the City of Ames. The board's purpose is to decide on applications for home occupation permits, special use permits, exceptions, and variances to the zoning ordinance, applications for conditional use permits in the floodplain, requests for reasonable accommodation based because of a handicap, and appeals of the decisions of the zoning enforcement officer. As a board of the city, we welcome all testimony. We make our decisions based on the facts and evidence as allowed under city code and presented in open meeting. Testimony before the board must be given under oath or affirmation. If the proceedings become lengthy, we may ask that the testimony be focused on new facts or evidence not already presented. We ask that you push the raise your hand button on Zoom if you wish to speak. A staff member will identify you to the board before unmuting you. Before testifying, please state your name, spell your last name, and state your address. When you are testifying, please address your remarks to the board. We also ask the proceedings be orderly. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is an independent volunteer board of citizens. We are not part of the city administration. We are served in our efforts by, who's on the Zoom call this evening? Jane Chang, city attorney. Oops. I think Kelly Diekman, planning and housing director, is on. Eloise Sahlstrom and Benjamin Campbell, planners. And Jacque Higgins, our recording secretary. The order of the proceedings for each application will be as follows. First, an oral statement summarizing the issues and procedural steps will be presented by the staff. Second, testimony and evidence will be presented by the applicant. Third, testimony may be heard from any members of the audience who wish to speak of in opposition to or support of the appeal. Next, the board will give the applicant and city staff an opportunity to present concluding summaries and arguments. And finally, the board will discuss the issues and evidence and come to a decision. Okay. Before we do approval of the minutes, let me just see, is Eloise on yet? Okay, so we have
yeah, let's hang on just a second here. See if we've got her back.
Okay, so we have a few, well, just one change to the agenda. Under public hearing item 2, the title needs to be amended to reflect the square footage, the correct square footage of the use. So agenda item 2 is a public hearing on application for a special use permit of 6,600 square feet of use as retail sales and service, general within the general industrial district for the property at 525 East 2nd Street. And then, Eloise, do you have audio?
I believe she said she's going to try to call by phone.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Okay, we'll do approval of the minutes then. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the meeting of August 26th, 2020?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
So motion by Amar, second by Bowers. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing on an application for a special use permit for 6,600 square feet of use as retail sales and service general within the general industrial zoning district for the property at 525 East 2nd Street. So Eloise.
Eloise, do you have the number? Okay.
I'm muted.
We can hear you. Oh, now you're muted though. We could.
Eloise, I think you have to do, I'm asking to unmute. I think talking is permitted. I think you have to unmute something now on your end.
The little microphone at the bottom of the screen, maybe.
Well, she's on her phone. I think there's something on the phone that you have to do.
Might be *6 or something to unmute.
So Eloise, your little mute button did come up. Can you check if your little mic on the left side of the screen? Do you have it now on the bottom left?
Yes, it's *6 to unmute in a Zoom meeting with your phone.
Can you hear me yet?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think it's through the screen, maybe.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm going to turn off this phone. Can you do let me do screen sharing, Benjamin?
Hang on. Okay, try it now.
Okay. All right. I'll get started. This project is the applicant, Ryan Pay of Remedy CrossFit, seeks to lease out one of the warehouse buildings located at 525 East 2nd Street. The warehouse building would compose 6,600 square feet, and the use would be for a CrossFit facility, training facility. The property is zoned general industrial, and it's located at the northeast corner of Bourne Avenue and East 2nd Street. It includes 7 buildings that total just over 46,600 square feet. And the current uses on the site are indoor storage and warehouse. The portion of the site that he's proposing to use is the area to the, it's the northernmost part of the building, and it would be accessed from Bourne Avenue. Bourne Avenue actually dead ends at the railroad tracks, so it's not a particularly heavily, not a lot of volume on that portion of Bourne Avenue. The applicant has described the use as providing personal fitness training to individuals and in small group classes, along with some retail sales. Staff has determined that the use is similar to martial arts instruction, which the zoning ordinance classifies as retail, personal, business, and repair services in the category retail sales and services general. Retail sales and services is permitted in the GI zoning district, but requires a special use permit if the use exceeds 3,000 square feet. A determination requires a case-by-case assessment, which depends upon looking at the surrounding compatibility condition of the individual site and whether there are any relevant concerns about commercial land use needs of the land use policy plan. Staff believes that the discussion of findings which follow in the report support this use. The proposed use is based on a scheduled class or workout training session format and will not be open to the public for fitness as a health club facility. In order to be consistent with the special use permit standards of the zoning code, the proposed use must operate in this manner with scheduled appointments A fitness center or health club type use is not permissible in the GI zoning district, as that would be classified as a recreational use rather than a service use. So there's a shared driveway access from Bourne Avenue that's shared with the other buildings on the site. The large parking area will also accommodate the required parking, maneuvering, and loading areas for the existing uses on the property. Recently, a minor site plan was approved for the site, and it identifies 33 spaces and includes 7 overstory trees dispersed around the paving area. This was some information provided by the applicant about his classes and so forth, indicating that they would be operated on a personal appointment level, and that all of the training would take place within the building. The equipment would be located within the building. Nothing would be outside. And it would be based on month-to-month memberships and personal training sessions. That there would be 3 employees, including himself. The required parking for this use is 22 spaces, as highlighted in the table here. And looking at the entire site would require 33 spaces with 2 accessible spaces included in that 33. So the site plan that was submitted and recently approved does support the use of this space, because it does allow 22 spaces as required for the retail use. Notification was made to all property owners within the area. We haven't had any comment. We haven't received any comment back from anyone or even any questions. The applicant also states that the appearance of the building, the exterior of the building, won't need to be changed to accommodate his use. So in looking at the requirements, the general standards, staff believes he meets those standards. I'm not going to go through each one, but I will highlight just our recommendation that as staff, we typically do receive inquiries about the use of industrial areas for a wide range of uses that are not typically thought of as traditional industrial uses. And the land use policy plan supports a more homogeneous use of industrial areas and has more distinction of the uses from what would normally be in commercial areas. The principle of this district is embodied in the purpose of the GI zoning district, but it allows for a case-to-case evaluation of any commercial uses through this process for the special use permit. There's a balance of maintaining industrial areas for employment and uses that are less compatible with commercial and residential uses and potential commercial interests. That's a primary reason for having an industrial area. And that the proposed use of this site would be the first commercial use along the East 2nd Street area. Although there are commercial areas south of the site where it is zoned HOC. It does appear from the application and the statement from the applicant that the use would not have a significant effect on the adjacent industrial operations due to the proposed business location, size, and schedule of operations. And so based on the findings of fact and conclusions included in your agenda item, it is the recommendation of the Department of Planning and Housing that the Zoning Board of Adjustment approve alternative 1 to allow 6,600 square feet of retail sales and service general use at 525 East 2nd Street based upon the findings and conclusions of staff. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Okay. All right, if there are, we can ask later. So I will open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this issue? Please raise your hand.
The applicant is here as well, it looks like.
Oh, okay. So I guess if the applicant would like to speak first before any members of the public.
Okay, I'm going to... Mr. Pei, you should be allowed to talk now. You should be able to talk now.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
Ryan, could you state your address and then I'll swear you in?
Oh yeah, sorry. My address is 3315 Aurora Avenue, Unit 101.
And do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay. You can add anything you'd like to Eloise's presentation and the board might have some questions after that.
Oh, okay. That was pretty much everything that I would have said about it. It was pretty thorough with the description. I don't have much addition to it unless there's any questions from anyone.
Any questions? Okay, nope, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now it's time for any members of the public. Did you say there weren't any before?
I see there's one member of the public, but I don't see a hand raised.
Okay, so raise your hand if you'd like to speak to this issue. Otherwise, stay on the call.
I see no hands raised.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Any other questions for staff or the applicant? If none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move alternative one. I'll second alternative one, Ronald Shapaw.
Okay, so motion by Bowers, second by Shapaw. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Schneider.
Aye.
Amar.
Aye.
Schoeneman.
Aye.
Bowers.
Aye.
Shapaw.
Aye.
Okay, and the motion is approved. Any members of the public who wish to appeal this decision may do so to a court of record within 30 days of the filing. Next on the agenda is a public hearing to review a special home occupation permit allowing carpet cleaning, water damage mitigation, and odor removal for 4004 Arkansas Drive.
Yes, so give me just a second here. Let me bring up the image. Yeah. Sorry about this. There we go. Okay, so this property you will remember from a year ago. So this was a special home occupation a year ago. The board did grant the special home occupation for 4004 Arkansas Drive, which you can see there. Let me zoom in a little. You can see this is a duplex. 4004 is on the east side. The entrance is on the east side. It is joined to 4006, which has an entrance on the north side there. One of the conditions that was required by the Board of Adjustment with approval was that the home occupation permit be reviewed with a public hearing in 1 year to determine whether it has complied with all conditions imposed by the board and otherwise complied with all other requirements of the city municipal code, which is why we're here this evening. The approved permit did not have an expiration date included as part of the approval and the 1 year review does not require any specific action as a result of the board's requested review. No citations have been issued by the city related to the permit, though one complaint was received. A 1 year review is not a component of the city's special home occupation standards or its enforcement procedures with the zoning ordinance, and thus the report was very short because we have no specific recommendation on this item. The one complaint that we did receive was in May of this year. We had a complaint from a neighbor on the street regarding vehicles parked related to the home occupation. The parking ordinance, which is chapter 18, does prohibit parking in the same location on a city street for more than 48 hours. And according to parking enforcement, the vehicles in question were moved before any enforcement could occur. And we did notify all properties within 200 feet and a sign was placed at the front of this property. The applicant is here as well, but for that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on this application.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
And this was, I think I neglected to say, this is for our carpet cleaning, water damage mitigation, odor removal business. And so just briefly, the applicant stores some things in the garage and also has a carpet cleaning van that is parked on the driveway. And you can see there some of the other conditions that were required as a part of the approval that are there in the report.
Did staff do a site review when they placed the sign just to make sure there weren't service vehicles elsewhere or the chemicals elsewhere on the site?
So I will confess that Eloise actually placed the sign. That's how we set it up. So I did not actually go. Yeah. So
okay, but there's no complaints on those issues. So
we have not received any complaints on that, correct? Yes. And we did send out notice, so there was opportunity to respond.
Great, thank you. If the applicant is on, if there are no other questions for staff.
I have a question for staff.
Sure.
Will we continue to review this every year if we take no action?
That is not a condition. You know, the review, staff, there is a complaint process with the city. You know, if there is a complaint, you know, there are violations of any of the conditions that have been placed in the approval. You know, staff can definitely take action. There was the one complaint regarding parking. It didn't lead to anything, but definitely if there are any complaints, then, you know, we can act on those. I guess I would say that that's sort of the check, the review process is the, you know, the complaints come into the city, we review those. And if anything is in violation, you know, we do follow up on that.
Well, our fifth condition was that we review it in 1 year. Right. So I'm curious as to if we need to take an action if we want to review it again. Is that the staff's opinion too? So if we want to review it again, we have to take action tonight with the condition of all 5 and reviewing it again?
I believe that's right. And maybe if Jane or Kelly wants to speak on that, just to make sure I'm not saying the wrong thing. You have a response there.
Hi, I'm Kelly Diekman. I'm the planning director for the City of Ames. I'm on the call tonight. Our advice is that it is not necessary, nor should we continually review a home occupation. We issue probably 10 a year, and we do not do annual reviews on them. So it was a little unique to have the 1 year review the first time, but it is not an expectation that there's an annual review going forward.
This is Rob. I'll say that last year this was a fairly contentious issue. We had a number of people come and speak, and I will actually tell you that I felt that there was some evidence to be weighed on both sides of this issue that caused me to have some mixed feelings about it at the time, on both the side of the applicant and on the side of the neighbors. And this seemed like a very good resolution of a way to allow something to move forward, but still have a checks and balance on it. It's not something that I would certainly be in favor as a board member continuing to move forward with. It seemed like a good resolution at the time, given the amount of people that were willing to come forward and speak at the hearing last year and stuff, but I would not be in favor of it again. I think we've seen by evidence of both the performance on the part of the applicant and by the fact that there's no one here to speak tonight, the ultimate end result, which is, my opinion, successful.
Okay, then another question for staff then. If we take no action on this, the other 4 items in the approval will stand, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those run with the permit.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. Is the applicant on?
Yes.
Great. It's time for them to add anything, or if we have questions for them.
Okay. And Mr. Obed, you should be up.
Hello, this is Yasser Obeid of 4004 Arkansas Drive, Ames, Iowa. I am the applicant, and I believe that the first 4 conditions have not been violated.
Can I ask you to swear to tell the truth before you go on?
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry about that. I swear to tell the truth.
Great.
So I believe that the first 4 conditions set forth by ZBA last year have not been violated by myself or any of my employees. And I have not received any citations or warnings since last year by parking or the city of Ames. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? Okay. We'll come back to you if anything comes up that we have a question about. Thank you. All right, and now it's time for any members of the public who wish to speak. Please raise your hand on Zoom.
There's only one other person, Hannah Weishar. Hannah, if you'd like to speak, you can use Zoom to raise your hand. You don't have to speak if you don't want.
Can you tell if they're on Zoom itself or if they just called in?
If you call in, it would be a phone number.
Okay.
So somebody they've joined using Zoom.
There's a special star code to unmute if you're on a phone.
Correct.
But I guess we'd know. Okay. Seeing no hands raised, I'll close the public hearing. Any other questions for the applicant or staff? Okay. And I don't think we need to take action on this, so this would
I see no need to take action. A parking thing was not in violation of the first 4 items in our conditions.
Yeah, and I just appreciate us creating an opportunity if there were concerns for a forum for folks to raise those, and seeing none, I think we're good.
Yep, yeah, no action is required then. Mm-hmm.
Great.
I'll make a motion to adjourn then.
I'll second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, and we're adjourned. Thank you so much.
Yep, everyone's